In this lesson, we're going to continue to discuss editing text. If you'd like to follow along, go under the File menu to Open, and in the Sample Files folder, go down to 0504, find Change for Power Users, and just click Open. Every time I place text in InDesign, I take certain steps before formatting. As mentioned before, I always turn on my invisible characters. So I'm going to go above the control panel into the View options and check Hidden Characters, and you can see they've turned on. Next is Find Change. It's used to find certain common typographic and formatting mistakes. My first rule of thumb, whenever I'm working with somebody else's text in my layout, is do not trust that there are no mistakes, because there probably are. And you can bet if you don't check, there are certainly mistakes. So why don't we open Find Change? Go to Edit, Find Change. And I'm just going to scroll over a little bit so I can see both the document and my dialog window for Find Change at the same time. Let's go through the panel. First, make sure you're in the text section. There are 3 additional sections. We want to click on the one that says text. Now we have to tell Find Change what it is we want to find and what it is we want to change to. First, let me just clear out the window from something I did in a previous lesson. I'm just going to click the trash next to Find Format and click the trash next to Change Format. We'll talk about that later in the lesson. First, we're just going to find certain typographic mistakes. The first is probably the most common, which is a period. Let me just type a period in the Find What field, and then 2 spaces after it. So I'm going to hit my space bar twice. So I have a period and 2 spaces. 2 spaces after a period went out with the typewriter. It is typographically incorrect. Now that I've told Find Change what to look for, I have to tell it what to change to. In this case, it's a period with a single space. What are some of the other options? Well, it says search. What is that about? Well, it gives me choices of what I want Find Change to actually search. Is it the document, or is it all documents that I have open? In this case, we do want to check the document, but I wanted to show you there's actually more things that can be under this search pop-up. If I get an insert point and actually select a word, so I just double click to select a word, I'm going to go back to that search pop-up, and you can see it says all documents, so I can check all of the documents that I have open. Well, I only have one open. But then there's something called a story. A story is all of the text in this particular text frame, as well as any frames that are actually linked to this text frame. If I already started checking in a story, and then I got interrupted, I can come back to it and check to the end of the story, just so I'm not rechecking what I've already checked. I could also check a selection. So if I had, let's say, just a single paragraph selected, I could confine the search that Find Change is doing to just a particular section. So it's going to save time. In this particular case, I do want to check the entire document. Now I'm going to get an insert point at the very beginning, so I'm starting from the beginning of this particular frame, and let's see if what we set up here is actually working. I'm going to hit Find, and yes, it did find a period with 2 spaces after it. I want to hit Change just to make sure that it's changing it to a period with a single space, and you can see that some of the space went away. Now that I know it's working, I'm going to hit Change All. In this case, it completed the search, and it found 12 replacements. I can just click OK. What are some of the other common mistakes that people make when they're typing? Well, let me get rid of what I have here in the Find What field. I'm just going to select it and delete it. And I'm going to do the same thing in the Change To field. Go back to my Find What field. Another common mistake is 2 paragraph returns right after each other, which people do to make space between paragraphs. A very inefficient way to work. And we'll talk more about that when we're talking about type formatting. In the Find What section, I'm going to go under this little @ symbol. It's actually a pop-up that allows me to choose different kinds of formatting, like for instance, end of paragraph. And it's putting the code for end of paragraph in there, $P. Let me do it again. So I have 2 paragraph returns in a row. That's what it's going to look for. I'm going to go to the change to field, go to that little @ pop-up in the replacement section, and go to end of paragraph. Any place it finds 2 paragraph returns, it's going to make 1 paragraph return. Let's see if it's actually working. I'm going to hit find. It found a couple of paragraph returns in a row. You can see there's one that's just making space. And I'm going to hit change to make sure that it's actually working, and it is. Now I can hit change all, and it found 5 and replaced all of them. What are some other common mistakes? Well, a lot of people, when they're trying to do a long dash and they're typing in Word, they'll do 2 hyphens right after each other. So that's what I want to search for. If they want a long dash, let me get rid of what's in the change to field. I'm going to go under the options menu to hyphens and dashes. There's 2 longer dashes, one called an N dash, which is a medium width dash, and an M dash, which is a longer one. That's what I want in this particular case. And it puts the code in there so I don't have to think about it. I'm going to search my entire document. Let me hit find, just to make sure that it is finding 2 dashes in a row. And now I'm going to hit change to make sure that it's changing it to an M dash, and it is. Now let me hit change all to actually complete my search and changes, and it's done. Another common mistake is people will type, let me just do it, I'm going to select the find what field, and I'm going to type 3 periods in a row. That is not an ellipsis, which is kind of like a pause. It's actually a single character, and you'll see the difference after I do my find change. I'm going to go under my @ pop-up menu there, and I'm going to go to symbols, ellipsis. It's actually a single character, an ellipsis. So let's see the difference. I'm going to hit find to make sure it's working, and it actually found 3 periods in a row. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit tighter here so it's easier to see that it is 3 periods in a row. And let me hit now change all. And you can see it's a single character where the dots are further apart than 3 periods in a row. Totally different. What else can I do? Well, I can actually search for formats and then change that formatting to something else. Why don't we do that? I'm going to select what's in the find what field and have nothing. Nothing in the change to field either. Just going to hit delete. And the reason for that is we're not finding text and changing it to some other text. We actually want to find a particular kind of formatting and change it to something else. Well, what we're going to look for is underlines. Any place text is underlined, I want to change the formatting, get rid of the underline, and make that text that's underlined italic. I could click on this little magnifying glass with the T, but I find it easier to just click in the Find Format field, and it's going to open this additional dialog box that allows me to find certain formatting. Let me do that. I'm going to click on Basic Character Formatting, and you see that one of the choices is underline. I need to click on that to check it. See, nothing else is filled in. And I'm just going to click OK. And it's saying plus underline. So it's looking for underlines. What do I want to change it to? I'm just going to click in the Change Format field. Go into Basic Character Formatting. I want to make sure that I click on underline and then click again so there's nothing in there. It's not going to leave that underline in there. It's going to remove it. And what do I want to change it to? The font style. I want to make that italic. So I'm going to click down on the font style. And this is all of the styles that are available from all of my different typefaces. I just want to go to italic and click OK. And let's see if it's actually working. I'm going to hit find, and it found something that's underlined. How about I hit change just to make sure it's working? And you can see it got rid of the underline and made it italic. Now I'm going to click change all, and it found more. And it completed the search, and you can see anywhere that there was an underline, it's now italic. If for some reason you open the Find Change dialog box and it looks like that, make sure to click More Options. And if you're doing another search, the Find Format and Change Format is going to remain here the next time you do a search. So if you don't want that there, click the trash next to Find Format and click the trash next to Change Format. So you're starting fresh. We're going to continue to discuss Find Change in the next lesson.